There's a real good, strong fan base here in Los Angeles, but it's not quite what it is in Canada.
Well, we're happy to be joined in the Los Angeles area by the head coach of the LA Kings, Todd McLellan. Todd, first of all, thanks for joining us, and a little bit about what COVID-19 has been like for you and your family there in California.
Well, it's been inconvenient to say the least, but that's what the whole world is about right now. So it's not just the McLellan family that's been put out, but both of our boys, Tyson and Kale, returned home from college, home being Manhattan Beach here in California, as soon as it occurred. And Tyson brought his girlfriend with him as well. So there's been 5 of us living here in Manhattan Beach. That's probably been the only positive coming out of this COVID thing, is that we've been able to do a lot of things as a family that we'd normally not do. Cook dinners, share a bottle of wine, tell stories. We're all adults now, so it's been quite nice, and I don't know if we'll ever get the opportunity to spend that much more time together. So we'll take advantage of it while we can.
Well, I know that you love your home family and you love your hockey family. As a head coach of an NHL team, how do you handle not coaching but preparing that you might coach?
Well, we've been through a bit of a roller coaster from the time it was called off to this day. There's been highs and lows. We've been not led to believe, but we've been informed that things could start up quickly, and then we've been let down a little bit where we got to wait a little longer. Obviously, the health professionals are giving us the direction, and we're going to continue to take it here in LA, and I'm sure at the league level. But as far as the coaching staff and the interaction with players, we've done a lot of projects with this spare time. One was reviewing our team play, every zone, every situation, on calls like we're doing right now. And it was very productive. We've evaluated all the players. But one thing we haven't done is year-end meetings, because we don't know that that's actually happened or is going to happen anytime soon. So there's also the other end of it where we're preparing to start up again. But it's really an unknown. We don't know where to go. Are we a full season team? Obviously, we're not a playoff team. Would that season be shortened a little bit, or would we even participate? There's all those variables, and we've got to plan for every one of them.
What would you like to see happen if you had a choice, if you had a voice in deciding how things might go for a team like yours that was playing really well before the NHL pause?
Well, we're hockey people, and we haven't been working for a few months now. And we'd obviously like to get back to it. I think the majority of our group would like to continue building on what we had going when the virus hit and the league stopped or stalled. And but we'd also like to do that in a real safe environment, not only for us, the players, but for everybody else involved. We think of media people such as yourself. Somebody still has to cover the games and broadcast them. And there's a lot of what ifs that come into play. And but we have really good people that are looking into all of this and guiding us as we go, and we'll be ready if we're called.
When you look at your coaching experience, first of all, in Detroit as an assistant, you've said before it's like the Harvard of hockey. Then you become a head coach, and along the way, I mean, you have coached some of the greats, not only current day but all time. I wonder what it's been like for you to have so many great players at your fingertips and having that opportunity as part of your coaching career.
Well, it's been a tremendous individual experience for me, but I've been able to share that with a lot of really good people along the way: assistant coaches, other teammates, management, ownership group, media people, fans. But I look back on some of the people that I've been involved with. In 2000, I left Swift Current to turn pro, and I've been with the Wilds organization as a minor league coach, obviously in Detroit, San Jose, Edmonton, and now Los Angeles. If you just do a quick roll call of people that have been involved with those two teams over the past 2 decades, I've been so fortunate and so lucky to be around some of these characters and some of these Hall of Famers. Lidstrom, Yzerman, Datsuk, Zetterberg in Detroit. Mikko Koivu was an 18, 19-year-old. Brent Burns was an 18-year-old in the Minnesota organization. Marlowe, Thornton, Pavelski, Dan Boyle, Nabokov in San Jose. Edmonton, I obviously don't need to even talk about the superstars that are there. They're so young and they're still playing. And then to come to an organization like Los Angeles and reunite with a former player and Rob Blake. who's now my boss, which is a really unique thing. And it's been a really fun year to see him operate in a different role and for us to be able to interact together. Dustin Brown, Luc Robitaille, Anse Kopitar, Drew Doughty, Jonathan Quick, you can go on. And that's not even tapping into the youth that's coming into the league. So, so fortunate to be part of a great league and around so many great players.
How would you compare or maybe assess coaching in Canada with Edmonton, coaching in Hockeytown in Detroit, and then coaching in California? Is it still all coaching, or is it different depending sometimes on geography?
Well, when the puck is dropped, it's still coaching. You're matching lines. You're trying to push players to their limit to get the most out of them. You're trying to find different tactics to get the most out of your team. Obviously, you want to score more goals than you give up. That's the whole point of the game. But at that point, after the 60 minutes is done, things change dramatically. Michigan was a bit of a hockey hotbed, close enough to Canada, where there were numerous rinks in the Detroit area. Minor hockey was prevalent. The Red Wings it was Hockeytown. So the Red Wings were a very strong franchise and very well respected. Obviously, we won a cup there. And it was a unique, tremendous experience. Coming to California, I wasn't sure what I was getting into, but the majority of my career has been spent here, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. There's certainly a difference between Northern California and Southern California. Their approach to the game. In San Jose, our practice facility was, I called it like a church. Everybody went to it all the time and scrambled to get to the SAP Center to watch the Sharks play. Here in Southern California, we have the same thing, but there seems to be more arenas, more teams spread out. Perhaps that's because the Ducks are a little bit closer. Media coverage, significantly different. As we know, Edmonton or any team in Canada is followed and scrutinized a much more, I don't know if the word tougher is or much more frequently. I remember coming back to Edmonton in the middle of July for Mark Spector's golf tournament and turning the radio on, and there was discussion on who McLellan was going to play with Connor McDavid on July 19th. We don't get that here in Los Angeles. Although I still get, some tips from many people. There's a real good, strong fan base here in Los Angeles, but it's not quite what it is in Canada.
Okay, so you've discussed, you've had the opportunity and the pleasure of coaching so many greats. So you're in a one-game situation, and I won't ask you for a full lineup, but let's say your top two lines of the players that you've coached. Would you have an idea who you'd have on left wing, right wing, and at center for your top six?
You really put me on the spot here. The first thing I do is I probably put you at center ice. I've seen you once or twice, and I'm sure we could figure out a way to win the game with you there. But that's a very hard question to answer. There's so many errors. The game has changed immensely since I entered the league in the past 20 years. The star-type players, you think of Connor McDavid right now and Steve Yzerman, how could you pick between those two? Yet in their errors, certainly at that time, I would take Steve Yzerman at that time. Definitely take Connor McDavid at this time. And and then there's players that you don't really know that well until you get here, like Anse Kopitar and Pavel Datsyuk could be rolled up in one, one big blanket, if you will. The way the two of them play and what they give up for their teams is incredible. I never really knew that about Anse. I knew he was an incredible player, but what he gives up each and every night so that his team has a chance to win is incredible. And Pavel Datsyuk was the same way. Henrik Zetterberg, Nick Lidstrom. Yeah. It's almost impossible for me to give you two lines. I do know that I could probably give you two teams worth of great players that we'd like to take somewhere and compete with. But just incredible players, and everybody has their own way of contributing towards a win. And you need all sorts of characters and all sorts of ingredients to find success.
Well, Todd, listen, you coached some of the greats, and I know that many of the players that I've spoken to that have had you as a coach consider you a great coach. We appreciate your time. Not sure when we'll see you, if we'll see you at a rink or not in the near future, but thanks again. Take care of yourself and your family, We appreciate your minutes of time with us.
Well, thanks for having me, and hoping that everybody stays healthy.